Canada is at a crossroads. With synagogues being shot at throughout the GTA, we have a choice to make, a clear choice to make, about whether we are going to be a city, a province, and a country that buries our head in the sand and tolerates this kind of intimidation, this kind of terror in our communities, or whether we will unite to stand against it and push back for the Canada, the province of Ontario, and the city of Toronto that we all cherish and believe in. This gunfire didn't come from nowhere. Over the last 2 years, our Jewish community has been subject to increasing incidents of hate, intimidation, harassment, and violence. On October 7th, 2023, we saw the first small protest calling for violence targeting our community, glorifying terrorism here in the GTA. Those demonstrations grew to be large ones. They moved into our neighborhoods. They began targeting our synagogues, our schools, our community centers. And now we're confronted with shots fired at 3 synagogues. But for the grace of God, in 45 minutes, we would not be standing here speaking about bullets going through windows and doors, but a far more horrific tragedy. We've seen the same pattern play out in Australia with deadly consequences. It's time for all Canadians and all levels of government to unify and move forward with urgency and consistency and concrete action to push back with leadership that says that this is not acceptable in Canada, that the hate, harassment, intimidation, and justification of violence and the violent acts, the terror that's being inflicted on our community will not stand, that it's fundamentally against our Canadian way of life. The message to those who seek to intimidate us, to terrorize us, is one of resilience. We are proud Canadians. We are proud to have helped to build this country, to build this province, and to build this city. We're not going anywhere. And we need every Canadian of conscience to stand up with us for our fundamental Canadian values so that we can ensure that the Canada, the Ontario, and the City of Toronto that we want to see in the future comes to fruition. Thank you.
I think I speak on behalf of not just my colleague Noah and I and the Jewish community when I say we are shaken to our core at this moment. This is the 3rd shooting of a synagogue in a 5-day period. It's beyond anything that we could have imagined. Although when we look at the trajectory over the last couple of years, it's exactly what we should have known was coming. Because as Noah said, we've seen hateful words go unchecked in our streets. We've seen hateful protests and rallies, not just taking place downtown Toronto, but taking place in Jewish residential areas and taking place in order to cause intimidation and fear in our own communities. And so, much like in other parts of the world, like we saw in Bondi Beach and elsewhere, hateful words turn into hateful protests and hateful rallies, and they turn into hateful actions, and that's what we're seeing here and what's taken place just behind us on this incredible synagogue, this gathering place for the Jewish community, for children in the Jewish community, for people of all ages and stages. And these are individuals who are willfully promoting hatred and terrorism in our streets. They are looking to scare us, not just as Jews, but as Canadians. These are not people who wish to harm just the Jewish community. This is a threat to our way of life as Canadians. And that's why we need everybody from all parts of Canadian society, all levels of government, different police, national security, it doesn't matter. Teachers, social workers, lawyers, every part of Canadian society to stand together and say enough is enough. We will not tolerate this. And it's not enough anymore to just say our thoughts and prayers are with the Jewish community. This is not a Jewish issue. This is a Canadian issue. I will keep saying it over and over and over again until people realize this is a threat to all of us. And so it requires all of us to take action. We are asking for all levels of government. We are asking for police. We are asking for national security to come together in a coordinated way and make very deliberate choices and specific commitments to help our community. We know that we need more funding from all levels of government to help us secure our community. We also know that we need that money faster, and that when Jewish institutions and other at-risk institutions are waiting, sometimes months on end, that actually can translate to immediate risk, which we're seeing now real time, right? 3 shootings in 5 days. It is very, very real. We need the immediate support right now. And we know that if everybody steps up and does their part, and we can be united, which we know, we see this great show of support today, and if we see action from everybody who's here to show support, we know that we can make a tangible difference in making sure that the Jewish community and Canadians can live safely and securely in the country that we love. And so that's what we're hoping for moving forward. Thank you.
Thank you. I had the opportunity to, with my colleagues here, go through the doors that are right in front of you. And we saw 3 layers of the gunshots that went through that could have had a devastating impact on individuals, that could have killed people at a place of worship. I condemn this in the strongest possible terms. This is unacceptable. This is the 3rd synagogue within the last week to be targeted. The forms of anti-Semitism we see that's turning into violence is not the Canadian way. We will not tolerate this, and this has to stop. Our law enforcement agencies will work in collaboration with all levels of government to ensure that. And as a federal government, we will be there with the community. This is not the Canadian way. As we look to build a country that is the freest in the world, it cannot be impacted by the level of hatred that we see today. Every Jewish Canadian has a right to live in this country free of discrimination, free of anti-Semitism, and in a way that they can actualize their fullest potential. When they attack a synagogue, they attack Canada. They attack the institutions in Canada, including places of worship. I know, Noah, and to the community, that we have work to do. And we will, on the federal side, do our work, including changing the requirements for the infrastructure funds that are critically important to support Jewish and other community infrastructures. And we will continue to strengthen laws that will ensure that hate is punished, and those who espouse hate are held to account. But for today, the message that I have for all Canadians and to the Jewish community is that we are united. We're united with the Jewish community. We're united with the provincial government. I know Minister Kersner is here, as well as the City of Toronto. And we will stand with our law enforcement, both Chief Demkew as well as Acting Chief from York Region. We will be with them, along with our national security apparatus, to ensure the safety and security of this community. Thank you.
Good morning. A threshold of decency has been crossed, a threshold that goes to the vibrancy of Canadian values, of tolerance, of friendship, and of decency has been crossed. I am a proud Jew, a 3rd-generation Jew that traces my roots back to the city over 100 years. And I'm here united with my colleagues of different levels of government. I'm here united with the police services every day that keep Ontario safe. I'm united with the men and women that put on their uniform, that understand upholding the laws of Ontario. The laws of Canada are sacred through the generations. And I'm joined today by 2 of my caucus colleagues, our MPP from Eglinton Lawrence, Michelle Cooper, and by Laura Smith, our MPP from Thornhill, both representatives of a constituency that has a large Jewish community as part of it. The Ontario government, led by Premier Ford, will leave no stone unturned when it comes to providing the legislation and the regulations and the expectations and the tone of our public safety. And we will work collaboratively with all levels of government. And I'm very grateful to my federal counterparts and our municipal counterparts who are here in unity, understanding that the attack that happened on 3 synagogues at Temple Emmanuel, at the Beit Avraham, otherwise known in the Jewish community as the Bayit, and right here at Shara Shemayim, that my own grandparents were modern-day founders in the 50s and 60s. This breaks my heart. But I will stand resilient. I will stand committed as the Ontario legislature returns in a few weeks to see our Bill 75, the Keeping Criminals Behind Bars Act, move forward in the legislature. There's a very important component in this piece of legislation that I look forward to debating with my colleagues, and that is the concept of barrier-free. It means that a person's right of protest should not include the right to disrupt a place of key infrastructure, a synagogue, a house of worship, a bridge, an on-ramp, a subway station. I will work very collaboratively in the legislature to see that this piece of legislation gets passed. And we will move forward and faster with deliverables to make sure that the message across our great province and our country is one of unity, that an attack on the Jewish community is not just an attack on the Jewish community, it is an attack on Canada. And I will stand up every day to not only fight for my Jewish community, but to fight for my country and the values that I was privileged to inherit. So Noah, I will be here today. I will be here every single day. I will work collaboratively with my colleagues, led by Premier Ford in our government, to make sure that nobody will see us accepting the normalization of something as tragic as this. We will be united. We will stand together. Thank you. Merci beaucoup. Miigwech.
I'm here, Deputy Mayor Mike Cole, on behalf of the City of Toronto. This is my synagogue, my ward. I'm here with my colleagues, Councillor Chernis Lynn, who had a synagogue in her ward shot up the other day, an old colony. Councillor James Pasternak. James?
Over here.
You know, for 3 years, Councillor Pasternak and I have been begging for federal, provincial help on this. We have not received it. It's been only the Toronto Police that have been on the job, boots on the ground, for 3 years. We've had a command post here by Bialik School trying to protect the community, but despite all the incredible work and caring of the Toronto Police, they cannot do this alone. This is not a local police matter. This is internationally inspired, funded, directed attack on the Jewish community. When will we wake up to that fact? It's not good enough to make speeches or propose laws now. We've been asking for a combined task force for the last couple of years. No response from our federal, provincial help to help us on that. It's about time people realize that our Toronto Police cannot do this alone. They need the OPP, the RCMP, CSIS on the ground here to combat internationally funded, directed terrorism that is terrorizing not only the Jewish community, it's terrorizing the people of Toronto and Canada. So enough with the speeches. Let's get some resources in here yesterday to tell the terrorist-inspired agitators this is not going to continue. And let's reassure my constituents who feel totally under threat For 3 years, they felt under threat by these terrorist-directed operatives, which are in our city, in our province, and in our country. So now's the time to finally work together. And I don't mean just through speeches and condolences. I want money on the table, boots on the ground from the federal, provincial government. I want the OPP here. I want the RCMP here to help our Toronto police. Unless we do that, it's just platitudes. Thank you very much.
Thank you to the community here at the Shemayim Synagogue for welcoming us, and to CJA and all our partners who have brought us together at this very important moment. It is encouraging to see this many people here today in a show of solidarity, members of the community, and very importantly, representatives of all levels of government who have come together, as well as colleagues in policing. We all stand together against violence, hate, and anti-Semitism. An attack on one of our communities is an attack on all of us. This synagogue, as we know, was shot at this weekend. And we've seen other similar firearms discharges targeting the Jewish community recently and in the past years. This is completely appalling, and we are treating this with the utmost seriousness. Our integrated gun and gang task force, along with other specialized teams, are working very actively on this investigation and collaborating very closely with the York Regional Police Service. This is a very active investigation, and I am asking for anyone with information or video or any snippet of information to please contact the police or Crime Stoppers to make that available to our investigative teams. We understand the fear and anger this creates in Toronto's Jewish communities. We will continue to take action. We have increased patrols and visits throughout the community, including here at this synagogue. That presence will continue. I also want to emphasize that there's a lot of work going on behind the scenes with our intelligence units and other specialized teams who work in ways that you may not always see, but do work around the clock together with our partners, provincially and federally, to do everything we can to ensure the safety of our communities and to advance investigations. We are committed to holding those responsible accountable, and we will do everything in our power to continue to advance all of our investigations, and in particular, those emanating from events this weekend. This violence must stop. We are going to be relentless and leave no stone unturned, and every resource necessary will be brought to bear to continue to advance all of our efforts. We will follow the evidence, and we'll do everything within our powers to hold those responsible accountable. Thank you.
Morning, everyone. On behalf of Chief McSween, I'm grateful for the opportunity to be here today to speak to you. As most of you are aware, yesterday evening, or coming into the midnight hour, there was a very brazen and disgusting shooting at the Bayat Synagogue in Thornhill. Suspects arrived out front and fired multiple rounds through the front doors. Thankfully, despite people being inside, nobody was hurt. This level of violence and this level of hate is extremely disturbing, and it's extremely troubling to me and all of my colleagues at York Regional Police. And as such, very significant efforts are being made to investigate this offense. When I was finished speaking with media yesterday, I had the opportunity to speak with Chief MQ, and there was an immediate agreement to increase the collaboration between our services to investigate these offenses. York Regional Police and Toronto Police Service firearms investigations teams and guns and gangs teams routinely collaborate daily, in fact, on shootings within the GTA. To enhance these efforts, our hate crime investigations units will be working in collaboration together, as will our intelligence units. It's important for all of you to know and understand that each and every day, our intelligence section at York Regional Police is in touch with our provincial and national security partners, assessing risks to the region of York and to the GTA as a whole. Hate and intolerance has no place in the region of York, and it should not have a place anywhere in this province or country. York Regional Police is dedicated to the safety and security of the residents of our region. We have a visible police presence at the Bayet, and that will remain there for the foreseeable future. We also have stepped up patrols in and around all faith-based institutions within the region. And you will also see our mobile command post being moved through strategic locations throughout the region to address community concerns, allow people an opportunity to approach police in an informal manner, share their concerns, provide information, and make reports. I appreciate your attendance here today to allow us to relay this message. These are very, very serious and troubling incidents, and York Regional Police will not rest until we are in front of these investigations. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Deputy.
Thank you.
Appreciate it very much.
Hey everyone. Okay, so we're going to go to the Q&A. First of all, thank you all so much for joining us this morning. Obviously, a lot of people here, a lot of media. Thank you. If we could keep this to one question and one follow-up per person, and if you could please let us know who you want to ask the question of, so they can come to the mic.
Chief Deputy Resident from Rebel News. A couple of days ago, your new deputy chief compared a synagogue shooting to a random act of violence on the subway. He also said that there are so many other demands, it's not like he can move police resources to this file. Do you stand by his statements that this was a random act of violence as opposed to an organized, targeted terror event? And do you agree with him that you just can't move resources to this?
Well, as far as the investigation goes, listen, it's not something that when it's this active, the chief's going to comment on specifics. We'll follow the evidence. We'll present the evidence as it becomes available. And what's important is to recognize that we will make every resource necessary available, not just to the investigators, but also to our uniform, visible presence that's required to not only help our communities feel safe, but to do everything we can to ensure the safety of our communities.
You didn't answer my question. I'm asking if this is a targeted anti-Semitic attack or, as your new deputy says, a random act of violence. Why won't you answer that?
No, I think it's very clear this was targeted at a synagogue. It's very clear that's the case. And we've been very clear about the anti-Semitic nature and the hateful nature of this act. And we will not stand for it, and we will not tolerate it. Thank you.
Deploy a police officer here like York Region has done as well?
We have provided police officers here extensively. We'll continue to do that. We are committed to doing that. We have been since October 7th, and we'll continue to maintain that presence and increase it as required.
I have a question for the chief.
Sorry, right back here. Guys, we'll go one at a time.
Yeah, we aren't in a position to provide any of that information at this time. As you can imagine, very active file, lots going on. Video canvassing, collection of evidence is very much an active part of the process we're going through now. And we'll make updates available when they're available to us through the investigative teams.
There was one question over here.
Hi there, this is for the chief and the acting chief. I just wonder if you could provide any more information if you have found that there's anything connecting these two shootings that happened within 20 minutes of each other?
Well, listen, I think, first of all, I think it's important to recognize what the acting chief spoke of and the minister alluded to. We are very intertwined and connected in our day-to-day operations, as a matter of course. And in these moments, we very much are engaged together and harmonized in our efforts, both as municipal services, but also provincially, nationally, as required. I've personally spoken to the commissioner of the RCMP. I know, of course, the chief and I have spoken, and our teams are working hand in glove together, and they're going to follow the evidence wherever it takes us. There's obviously a time and space relationship that we have to examine, and that's what our investigators will be doing very, very actively, and they will go where the evidence takes them. And I can reassure Torontonians, and I'm confident we'll hear similar from York Region, there will be no stone left unturned. Every resource necessary will be brought to bear and made available to our teams doing this work.
Absolutely. At this point in time, no, there's no evidence to suggest definitively that these events are related or perpetrated by the same people. But again, as Chief Demke said, we can't ignore the fact that they happened so close to each other and that both targets were in fact synagogues. So obviously, we are looking at that connection and hope to be able to determine whether they are or are not related as soon as possible.